How's it going, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. And today we're going to be revisiting my Spotify switch. So I'm sure, as some of you are aware, I did switch to Spotify from Apple Music as my main music listening service like 2 months ago now. And seeing as several people have requested an update video, I thought we'd talk about my experience 2 months on, the good, the bad, and whether or not I'm staying. Pro of switching to Spotify that I personally noticed is that sharing music with my friends is now so much easier. Now, if you've seen my original video, then you will know that that is one of the reasons I initially wanted to switch. All of my friends are on Spotify. I didn't really use the iMessage Apple Music sharing feature, and before it was genuinely a nightmare. Like, obviously, because I couldn't share out of Apple Music, I'd either have to go to YouTube and find the song, copy it, and then send it like that, or I'd have to open up Spotify, navigate the non-premium app, cross my fingers hoping it was actually on there, then I'd be able to share it. Now I could just simply copy a song I was listening to, send it across, and bam, my friends can also listen to my music. What's more is, again, making collaborative playlists is so much easier now. If I find a song I like and I want to stick it in the group playlist, I can simply just do that instead of going to my computer, turning on Spotify, and then remembering to add it. Especially if I'm at the house and I discover a new song, remembering to actually add that to the playlist, not ideal. In fact, quite far from it. As I said before, the social aspects was one of the reasons I initially wanted to switch, and so far it has been excellent. Next up, discovering new music is effortless. Because of the way Spotify works, where you finish one song and then it plays another, because it plays songs that I actually want to hear versus just random junk that I don't want to listen to, finding new songs by artists that I've never heard of is so much easier on Spotify. In fact, the other day I discovered an artist with 11,000 monthly listeners called Inconsistent. This is a really cool song. If you like emo, then check it out. Yeah, I've discovered more songs instead of keeping the same few songs in rotation, and to me, this is super fun. Like, obviously, I love the artist I was listening to on Apple Music, but there's something fun about finding a really cool new artist. Next up, the actual mixes are so much more of what I want to listen to. Apple mixes and curated playlists really weren't all that good, to be honest. Like, sure, sometimes they were decent, but the vast majority of the time, Spotify just outpaces Apple Music like this in every way. I find songs by artists that I know but haven't heard that song before, songs that I have heard before, and songs by entirely new artists. Again, I've discovered loads of new music through this, and honestly, it's kind of broken me out of my stubbornness of just listening to songs in album form. So yeah, good job, Spotify. Also, to add to this, when you switch from one song to another on Spotify, there is this brief crossfade that, fun fact, I do on every single cut of these videos. So whenever I do this, there's no pop and there is a smooth transition between each line. And Spotify essentially does its own version of this, so you can listen to songs out of album form and it's less jarring. Next up, and this is one of my favorite features, switching devices is so convenient. Now, I know what a lot of you are gonna say. I'm an Apple user. I could just use AirPlay. Well, in my experience, AirPlay isn't as good as the Spotify handoff feature. If you don't know what this is, say I'm listening to a song on my phone, I'm enjoying it, but I wanna use my big speakers behind me. Well, there's a little icon at the bottom of the screen on Spotify that essentially lets me hand off my music listening from one device to my Mac, so I can continue listening on there. You also have a certain level of control as well. Like, you can skip songs, you can favorite them, like you can even adjust the volume, all from your phone, while listening on your computer. Yeah, I've been using this feature a lot, and I very much like it. Finally, for the pros, again, there is a lot of music that I really enjoy listening to on Spotify. As I said in the previous video, the example I gave was Glockamora. There's just a lot of the niche music that I listen to on Spotify that may not be available on Apple Music. And honestly, this was a big pull for me. So yeah, so far, so good. Now, unfortunately, it's not all been positive. Let's talk about some of the cons. Okay, so first of all, the local files feature on Spotify actually kind of sucks. Like, realistically, it's very disorganized. Nothing's really sorted in album form. If you want to listen in album form, you have to make playlists. I mean, maybe there is a different way. If you know a different way, then please do let me know, because I have so much old car seat headrest music that I want to transfer, but simply can't because it is so disorganized. And for me, that is a big one. Personally, I don't want to keep 2 subscriptions around. Spoiler alert, I've cancelled my Apple Music subscription. So I'm hoping I'm going to find a more efficient way to do this, because as it currently stands, the local files, in my opinion, is unusable. Next up, and this is a very opinion-based one, the interface on Spotify just isn't as nice as Apple Music. I mean, Apple Music has a light mode, which I just know I'm going to get flamed for. I only use it during the day though, not like evil. I also find actually navigating the library to be a little bit cleaner on Apple Music as well. Now this is going to lead on to my next and honestly final negative, but honestly I do think that is worth a mention. Like, intuitivity is such an important aspect of using a piece of technology, whether that be hardware or software. That said though, it's only been 2 weeks, so who knows? And finally, the search can be a little bit confusing. On Apple Music, it's very clearly laid out. You have your tab for Apple Music searches and you have your tab for your library searches. These are next to each other. It's very clear in the UI what you're doing, and overall, it's a pretty good system. On Spotify, however, you actually have the search tab, and then in your library tab, you have another search bar. In my opinion, the one on the search tab works very well, but in the library, it can be a little bit clunky. Often when searching your library, it's certainly not the most accurate, and I found it only actually pulls up albums versus just individual songs that I might want to listen to. Now you may be saying, okay, well, if you want to find a song, just use the search tab. Well, a lot of the times songs that are in my library aren't at the top of that search list. Like for example, I was trying to listen to Really by Prince Daddy and the Hyena earlier. I typed in Really and it wasn't there. Now, I do expect this is probably just me being a Spotify noob, but I would like to be able to search for just songs in my library. And as for the cons, that's it. Overall, my switch to Spotify has actually been pretty smooth, much smoother than I expected. Granted, I was already using the free version on my computer. Well, no, I have the premium version now, but you get what I mean. I had the free version of Spotify before. I was also many years ago a Spotify user, but yeah, overall, I think for now at least, I am gonna be sticking with Spotify. I personally have the Duo plan, so it is significantly cheaper than Apple Music. I know Apple Music has family sharing. I actually don't know if they have a Duo plan, but as I said, everybody I know already uses Spotify, so I wouldn't really know who I could use Apple Music with in that regard. I don't even know if it exists. Why am I playing out this hypothetical? Anyway, getting back on topic, I certainly think that for a little while at least, I am going to be sticking with Spotify. All right, now that that's done, we have other stuff to do today. Okay, one of the things that I need to do is buy a new computer because this one is unfortunately broken. Basically, my phone was on the keyboard, slid down it, and just shattered the screen. Now, significantly worse things have happened to this computer. Like, I accidentally knocked it off like my bed once. Totally fine, but this, now, I've been wanting to switch this computer out for a while anyway because it drives me nuts. Stupidly, I upgraded absolutely everything to the max except for the storage. And because of the way M1 works, my timeline experience in Final Cut has not been good. I think I've used this machine for like 2 years now. So yeah, unfortunately, gonna have to say goodbye to this one. I'm not sure whether I want to get a used 16-inch, which is like incredibly high spec. It's like i9, 32 gigs of RAM, a terabyte of storage, the best graphics card for a really good price, or the 14-inch. Now, I've heard nothing but good things about the 14-inch MacBook Pro. That said though, it is significantly more expensive, so I'm gonna try one out and we'll go see if it's worth it. Look at the state of this thing, honestly. Now, obviously, I do have a temporary solution with just using my monitor, but unfortunately, due to the nature of my work, I do unfortunately need it. It is way more mild today. Like, the last video we shot was also outside. So cold. Like, I think the coldest day was -7. Today it's 12 degrees. So, okay, unfortunately, I think the MacBook was kind of a little bit of a bust. Like, yeah, it was cool, it was fast, but it was very expensive, much more so than this 16-inch that I've tracked down, and the performance wasn't that mind-blowing. So yeah, I think I've made up my mind in that regard. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that I'm not going to check out M1 again in the future. In fact, I likely will, but for now, I think I probably am going to go back to an Intel-based machine. That is, of course, unless some of you Mac aficionados in the comments have a reason why I shouldn't do this. I know it's not as cinematic as coffee and I can't do like a fun sequence with it, but I have so many of these that I need to get rid of, so I'm gonna have one of these instead of my coffee. I guess I could still try to make it cinematic. Hold on. write that one off. Jeez, the lighting in here is horrible. Anyway, let's go back to the good lighting. All right, guys, so that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Let me know, by the way, what streaming service do you use? Do you use Spotify, Apple Music, or something different entirely? Feel free to let me know in the comments. I always enjoy reading those. As for now, though, as always, thank you for watching. Remember to like the video if you want to see more content like this, then smash that subscribe button. I'm done for now, and I will see you guys in the next one.